Hey everybody, Todd here, Mark Legacy Acres. Hey, wanted to have a quick video, well maybe not quick, but have a video on the steps we took. You can hear our new puppy barking in the background. Uh, that's Whiskey, newest member of the family. Uh, you're going to see a video on that if you haven't already. But anyway, he just woke up from a nap, so he's all happy. That happens, babe. So anyway, the steps we took when we contracted having our pole barn built. We did a lot of research beforehand, and we had a hard time finding what's the first step. What do we do next? What do we do next? So we're going to share with you what we did. Maybe it'll work for you. First thing was obviously deciding what size pole barn we wanted. For our property and what we were using it for, tractors, trailers, implements, we wanted a loft, things along those lines. We decided on 40 by 60. We had a perfect spot for that. So we went with 40 by 60 by 14 feet tall. Now that changed. That's an important part of the story, but it was 40 by 16 by 14. So I researched both national and local. Yes, I've got notes here, so you'll see me keep looking down. We researched both national and local options. I found this site, FBI buildings. Be careful when you're searching for FBI buildings because the FBI will come up in your search. But they had a neat tool, and I was able to go online and create a 3D rendering of what I wanted and then have them quote from that. And that was really neat. So I was able to put in the things I wanted, spin it around, go inside, see different options. So I did that, and that was very helpful for me. And then once I figured out everything I wanted, so we were comparing apples to apples, I used all of that information to have other people quote. Keep in mind, at this point, we don't even have a budget. We don't know any idea what this is going to cost us. So we took our design and I sent it to a local place, Legacy Metals in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and had them quote it and actually ask if we could have a face-to-face meeting so I would understand everything that was going to be necessary. So they were very nice, and from the quote we got from FBI Buildings, we put together our budget. And we used that when we went in and talked to Legacy Metals. So we had sort of two things in our budget. One number we had to stay below, and one number we would like to stay below. But that top number, that was a hard ceiling for us. So at the face-to-face meeting with Legacy Metals, I truly wanted an excuse to use a local company. Somebody that knew the area, knew the contractors in the area, and I was honest with them that I had other bids, but I was looking for an excuse to give them the business. So we talked about a lot of things on how we could get their original quote was higher than FBI Buildings and other national brands when they send you a kit and all that kind of stuff. So they worked with me. They figured out ways to reduce costs by having 6 inches of concrete on one side and only 4 inches of concrete on the other side where the big implements wouldn't be. So that was a cost savings. They fixed one of my design flaws for me. So the way they work, a 40-foot wide building, you get longer than wider than that, the prices go up tremendously. And I think my design was probably just over 40, and it was shooting the number up. We could have it as long as we wanted, but as long as we stayed 40 feet wide or less. So they helped me with that. So now we've got the cost down to where they need to be. Now the conversations start. And now we start spending extra money because of conversations we were having with Legacy Metals. So the conversation went sort of like this. Hey, heard you say that you want to have a loft in your building, but you're going to build that yourself. our son and I were building the loft. And so they went, you know, if you have a 16-foot tall building, it doesn't add that much price, right? It adds a little bit, but not a lot. And then you can have a true loft where you're not ducking all the time. That made sense, but now I'm over budget again. But I agreed. Let's do the 16-foot tall because I want the loft. So then it's like, oh, you've got 16-foot walls, but only 12-foot overhead doors. Are you ever going to have anything taller that you want to put in there? I'm like, yeah, probably. So next thing you know, I've got 14-foot doors and I'm adding cost. And I'm like, I'm starting to pace at this point. It was actually humorous. I do that anyway. But, you know, just one thing after another, even though they made sense, and I'm glad I did them, we were adding to cost. So then the conversation comes, well, how long you guys want this pole barn to last? And I'm thinking, I'm 60 years old. 25 years. I'm good. And he goes, then what? I'm like, what do you mean, then what? Okay, I'm going to be dead. I didn't say that. I thought that. And then my lovely wife, who is the fiscal conservative portion of our relationship, she watches the dollars and cents, I promise you. She says, well, we did name our place marked with Legacy Acres, and just let me dwell on it. All right, what's going to make this last longer? Well, we can have these sleeves, and I can show those to you. I did it in another video. You can go watch that one. But we can have these sleeves that we put the posts in, and the posts will never touch the soil. It'll last for generations. All right, my wife has sold it this time, but I'm starting to sweat. So again, not a lot of extra money, but extra money nonetheless. So, and then he says, so, no insulation. I'm like, no. I'm from Northern Illinois. Your winters down here aren't that cold. I'll be fine with no insulation. And he waits a second and throws a one-liner in there. That again was right. I guess you've never worked in a metal building in Kentucky in the summer. No? No, I haven't. So next thing you know, I've got the least expensive insulation they sell. It's not very thick at all, or I don't even remember the R factor. It's not much at all. But I'll probably go ahead and put some more insulation in areas in the future. So now I've got to get rid of costs because I'm above my ceiling. So my son, our son, thought it would be a great idea to have 3 overhead doors, one of them being in the back of the building so we could just drive through with a trailer or whatever and have doors on the front and back. He's absolutely right. That would be wonderful. But I had to cut something. So I've got 2 overhead doors next to each other. And again, I'll show you all that. But I lost one of the doors. And I lost some of the windows I would like to have. But we got us down to the price where we needed to be. So that gets us to the fun part, at least for Judy. So we've got the numbers where we need them to be. And now we're picking out colors. They had actual samples there. We could put colors next to each other. And we picked like a hunter green and a gravelly type color. And so we took care of that. So now we done that. We get our down payment done. We agree on tentative timing. Okay, so now it's deciding who's responsible for what, or them telling us who's responsible for what. And one of our responsibilities was to get the excavation done. That includes the gravel pad, all those kinds of things. And so we got multiple quotes. We got one guy that was really high, one guy in the middle, and well, we went with the low price guy because I'm trying to keep my costs in order. That ended up being a mistake. Again, we covered that in another video of things that we would change if we had to do it again. We would change that if we had to do it again. We would not have gone with the low price guy because that was just, he made it too small. And again, we cover all that in another video, but it was a problem. And then the Legacy Metals arranged the builder, the concrete guys, and the overhead installers. So in the price that we paid, it included the kit, it included the concrete, and it included the overhead door and installation. Now we had to pay separately, but we had already agreed on a price for the building of the building, the construction, the erection of the building. So now it's time to start moving dirt. So I mark out roughly where we want the building, and then I get a call from our excavator, and he's like, you know, don't you want to turn this building to be parallel with the road? Well, sure I do. That's common sense. What I did was made it parallel with the woods behind it. That was silly. So he was absolutely right. So now we turned it, and now we're parallel with the road. So that all got done, and we got the gravel pad in, and the product gets delivered. And so it comes in on a big semi. They take everything off. A few days later, the construction crew shows up. They built this whole thing, not including the concrete and the overhead doors, but the building, the construction happened in 3.5 days. Just amazing to me. It was a Mennonite crew. They were wonderful. They were great people. They were very personable. They had fun joking with each other, and they did quality work. I cannot say enough about that crew that we used. So they set us up with a really good crew. But they're the ones that found out that our pad was too small. They went ahead and built everything, but said, before you pour concrete, you're going to have to get this pad fixed. So now we brought that guy back. We negotiated it because he bid it wrong. So I paid for the additional gravel that had to come in because he did misbid it, and we really did need that gravel. So I said, okay, that's a true expense. But the labor that had to be, he ate that. So that all went great. A couple days, about a week after the fix, the garage doors went in. The garage doors and the building and everything all happened before the concrete. You could do it either way, but that's the way this all went. So after that, we got the concrete poured, and that was really time sensitive. We were stressing with them that it had to get done on time because I had to let it cure because I had a Kubota L2502 that I was picking up at the dealership with trailer and implements, and I didn't want all that money sitting outside for multiple reasons. I didn't want it stolen. I didn't want it getting weathered. It's my brand new tractor. I want it nice and safe. So they got all that done on time, and that entire process from the time that we sat down with Legacy Metals to I had a tractor sitting in my pole barn was around 3 months. I think that is phenomenal, fantastic. I've heard stories of year and a half to get things done. So we were really happy with all that. So that is, I told you I was going to walk you around. Let me walk you around a little bit. And I hope that this all helps everybody. Let me wake this up so I see what I'm doing. So here's the pole barn if you haven't watched the rest of the videos, but we've got a nice overhang, we've got some windows, a man door, the overhead doors, again 16-foot tall sides, 14-foot overhead doors I paid extra for. We've got the loft is being built again by our son and I, and that's a nice project for us. Let me show you one of those sleeves. So the sleeves I'm talking about that I paid money for, they're all inside. So this is a sleeve right here, and this fits in the sleeve. So again, no weather, no soil, no dampness, no anything gets to those. I agree, those will last forever. So I hope this was helpful to everybody, or somebody, multiple somebodies hopefully, and I hope that helps you with your project. I would have liked to have seen a video like this when we were putting our project together, and I really appreciate you being here. We're going to be working on this pole barn. Next year we're getting water and electricity to it. We'll be putting up lights and fans and work areas and everything else, finishing the mezzanine and putting a living space up in that. And we're going to, so over on the left is going to be living space. In the middle we're going to have some storage. On the far side is just going to be a big open area, and we're going to have some couches and things along those things up there. And then there'll be a railing across the front, obviously, where you can walk and look over into the pole barn and everything. It's really going to be cool. At least it is in my mind. So again, hope this was helpful. If you like this content, please hit the thumbs up. It really does help the channel. Maybe you consider subscribing if you want to see how things go in the future. And we really appreciate you being here. Mark with Legacy Acres out.